he says, it's the best experience I've ever had in a film. And I could also say that and come up to terms with that. Our life became 10 times bigger by making that movie. My name is Gael García Bernal, and this is the timeline of my career.
Eso que sientes es algo que les pasa a todos.
No, a mí no. ¿Y cuándo estaba mi mamá?
That was my first experience before I had done theater with my parents, but my first audiovisual work experience was El Abuelo y Yo, which was a soap opera that was done here in Mexico, and I was 12 years old, I think. I had a lot of fun doing it, but doing that I decided, this is not the type of actor I want to be. But also, the way that the soap operas were made back in those days, it was a dynamic that I didn't enjoy.
Lisa, por las mamás.
Y Tu Mamá También. I got involved in that movie because Alfonso Cuarón saw me in Amores Perros. I was in my last year of acting school. It was the second script I read in my life, or third script, I read in my life. So it was wonderful to have such a laugh, reading it. And then when doing the casting for the other character, they called Diego Luna, who's a friend of mine since we were born. And we had the greatest privilege of all, which is to work with a lot of rigor and a lot of responsibility with one of your best friends, and it was wonderful. We were involved a lot in the decision making, or they made us believe that we were involved in the decision making of the film. We changed a lot the syntaxes of how the dialogues were written and everything, through improvisation and everything. And we would establish them, and therefore when we arrived to the set, we had a good ownership of what the characters were and what they were going and what they're going through and everything. And we got the chance to learn a lot from Alfonso Cuarón, the director. And apart from becoming really good friends, he became a kind of a mentor for me, and even more than a mentor. He became a point of reference in everything I did. It was a very, very one of the greatest film experiences that obviously you only can live once, and we experienced it at a very early age, and it gave us so much. It was the last type of movie that was shot before cell phones with cameras existed, and that says a lot. It was shot in a very difficult time in Argentina, when there was a big economic crisis. But we were able to pull through and to prepare a lot with a lot of help of people that knew Ernesto Guevara, and that allowed us to discover what the premise of this movie was, especially through the voice of Alberto Granado, who was Ernesto Guevara's companion in this journey. One day when we were in Cuba visiting him before shooting the film, he called us over and talked to us and gave us perhaps the best pointer that anyone can give you, which was don't try to imitate our voices. Don't try to give a voice to our voice. No, tell your journey as well of this film. And the way I understood that is that the film was going to be shot at the same time we were going to interpret Ernesto Guevara's and Alberto Granado's journey, but as well we were going to document our experience of our journey as well, and that was going to be equally as important as that interpretation. Making it, Walter Salles said, guys, we will never experience this again. And Rodrigo de la Serna says it now, it's the best experience I've ever had in a film. And I could also say that and come up to terms with that, thinking that there's not going to be a greater experience than that one. Because all of a sudden our home became bigger. Our life became 10 times bigger by making that movie.
Cuánta injusticia, ¿no? Nunca estarás seguro. En eso consiste mi venganza.
This film has a story within a story within a story within a story, and the character that I get to play had many layers to it and had many personalities to it as well. So it was wonderful to be able to play this kind of different personalities and these different rhythms and this different musicality for the character. And as well, it was challenging to do an accent from Spain in the 70s, you know, from a certain area, you know, and I have very clear images of what, you know, of certain points, you know, especially when my character is singing, quizás, quizás, quizás. It is a very, I don't know, it's a very iconic kind of moment, I guess. And for me, definitely in my life, it was.
Quizás, quizás.
My name's Elvis. My mother told me about you.
No, you're making a mistake. This is my family, and that is my house.
As soon as I read the script, I was so incredibly interested in doing it. It had to do with an issue that I enjoy a lot talking about, which is otherness, foreignness, you know, in a sense, you know, la otredad, no? It was one of the most alone experiences of making a film, that one, compared to all the others, because in a way I needed it. I needed to be on my own, you know, just there in Austin. We were shooting it, and I had a lot of moments to be with myself, to read, to investigate, to try out things. I made songs for the character, you know. I made these things that one does as an actor, you know, to kind of build a character, things that can help you. I wouldn't say lonely, but in an alone way, you know.
I've got to find a way.
Go back to work.
What? Oh no, to work? No. It's only a dream. We don't have to work in dreams. No, nothing is for real.
I actually met Michel Gondry in a party. He called me to talk about this film, and I loved, you know, everything that had to do with this film from the beginning, because he's a director that puts all the elements there at play, and then we have to solve, in a way, the puzzle. One moment that I remember really well is my character was surprised in Charlotte Gainsbourg's apartment. And so she came into the door and I had to hide. And there was no place to hide. How do we solve this? Because in the script there were other, I don't know, it was a little bit more of a puzzle that kind of we couldn't work out and didn't make sense. And I remember just having this impulse of jumping into the bed, you know?
What are you doing?
As if I could mimetize myself with the bed sheets or something. When I did it, it was like, wow, that's the way that one hides when there's no place to hide. You just do this, no? Just like go like that, like, okay, here I am, okay. My only regret is that I didn't learn properly to speak French back then. I understand it, but I'm not, you know, I need a few drinks on top to be able to speak it like supposedly thoroughly, you know.
Begin our silent symphony.
All of a sudden I received an email saying that there was a series that was gonna happen in Amazon. That was something that was, you know, was like, wow, how does that exist? What is that, you know? Isn't Amazon something, you know, that sells, you know, I mean, and they were, no, they're starting to do their streaming service. I was like, oh, that was weird, and that was not long ago. And back in the day, it seemed like something very odd already for me, you know? I was like, wow, this is weird, but excellent.
Maestro, I don't know if I can do this.
This is not about you. It's not even about me.
I think Rodrigo is the person I would like to be. It's a character I miss, you know? I miss him. I miss playing him. What was nice is that playing this kind of genius that at the same time was very obnoxious and very kind of bothering, but then all of a sudden it became really wonderful and fun, and you just wanted to hang out with him all the time. So I miss him. I miss Rodrigo. I wish I could be like him in my day-to-day life. The most amazing opportunity of anyone's life, I think, is to conduct an orchestra. I'm doing something that people have been preparing since they were born, you know? And I'm just doing it out of this instinct. So I always had to come up to the podium and say sorry to begin with. To all the musicians, and tell them sorry for what you're about to see. But they played along, literally. And what was interesting is that by the fourth season of Mozart in the Jungle, I already felt with a lot of confidence to just, you know, learn a piece, prepare it, and go there and be there, and that was wonderful. That was incredible. That was one of the most, profound experiences I've ever had.
So can you tell me why just journalists meet up with this American spy on the eve of the unrest?
He's not a spy.
He's not a spy?
No, it's a show.
It's a show?
A comedy show. It's stupid.
It's very stupid, yes.
It was like, Jon Stewart's gonna direct the film. This is what the film's gonna be about. And I read the book immediately by Maziar Bahari. Even though it was incredibly crude and terrible what was happening, it had a lot of comedic elements. Man, it was such a joy to work with him. I loved, working with him and playing around with him, and the energy that he gave us, to keep on going. He actually is one of those people, those comedians that, we expect them to be funny, but in real life, which is horrible that, society kind of imposes that now because you make us laugh, you have to make us laugh all the time. But no, actually, he surpasses all the expectations because he's incredibly funny in real life and incredibly energetic and intelligent and loving and very good at what he does. It was wonderful to help him in his first experience as well, directing a movie, which is another type of animal, no? And he managed really well. I mean, yeah.
Well, everyone knows Juanita. Her eyes each a different color.
I was approached by Lee Unkrich to play this part with already the film more than halfway done. I had the opportunity to see already some sketches and kind of like the world that had been built. I was very surprised as well by the very thorough investigation that Pixar had done to make this film. They were, incredibly conscious and respectful and loving with the concept of the Day of the Dead, and they also understood something very important about the Day of the Dead is that you have to make it your own. You have to give a point of view to make it. It was very nice to portray our Mexican culture also, in different parts of the world, and for people to connect with that.
Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. Remember me.
I love singing, but I'm not a professional about it, and I would never want to be a kind of a singer by choice, because it's not something I think I'm good at.
For even if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart.
Through a character, I can do it. Through a character, I don't care, to play it. And I've asked a lot of singers what they do, and most singers tell me, yeah, we sing through a character also, But obviously they train their voices, and it's another kind of approach. And mine is a very kind of a completely lyrical approach. We can all sing, in that sense.
Those aren't the words.
Are children present?
Who would leave this? From the hotel! They're so rusted!
What's happening?
Found stuff from the hotel in the sand.
It was right at the beginning of the understanding of the uncertainty, of the pandemic. I think what helped us was the fact that we were shooting it in a kind of a classical style of how films were made. You took your time to do the film, no rush. We had a lot of time to prepare, to put things together, to organize, to kind of, prepare mentally, physically for something like this. We had to consider certain things that normally you wouldn't consider in a film. The whole film spans within 24 hours. The sun comes out in one direction and the sun sets in the other direction. No? The way we were shooting is that in the mornings we would shoot what happens in the mornings in the film, and in the afternoons we would shoot what happens in the afternoon. And that conditioned a lot the way we did the film. But those are great limitations, man. It sparks your creativity, and gives it it's the origin of an interesting experiment. I think the film is a strong alchemy of different limitations that put together into the storyline. We, created something that hopefully will resonate very strongly. I always thought, the life of an actor is something that really appeals to me. And I think one of the main reasons is the fact that you can exercise your freedom having fun. And I want to inspire other people to be able to do so in their lives as well, to promote and to, provoke this search for freedom. Those are the things that I enjoy about being an actor.